Hi, I'm Natalie, and today's tutorial is all about blinging up your t-shirts. Now, you don't have to use a blingy material like I am. You can use any kind of material. I suggest something that drapes well. So rayon challis, even linen after it's washed a few times, even knit, but you might, if the knit is gonna grow, like it has a lot of stretch, you might wanna cut down the measurements a bit. Cotton will work, but it will be stiffer and kind of stand out. So I'm not sure you want that look. But it is very simple and very adjustable. I did this t-shirt, and then in this tutorial tonight, I'm wearing another one that I made. I love doing this because it just adds fun to t-shirts. I actually picked up this t-shirt at Goodwill. I love NASA, always have. And I wanted to bling it up so I can wear it with black leggings this winter or whatever. So it turns any t-shirt, no matter the size, into a size that works for you. It is not a poncho. We will sew the sleeves up. So it is not a poncho. I don't know. I don't like wearing ponchos. I need more security. So even if you grab a t-shirt that, let's say, is a extra small or a small, we're cutting off the sides and the sleeves, so it almost doesn't matter because you'll be able to get this over your head. I always cut off my crew necks. I can't stand anything tied up on my throat. And as you can see, I just utilized that hem on this one. You don't have to. You could make it cropped and just have the long sleeves, wear a tank top underneath. Just think of all the possibilities. I'll really try to have Ramel film more of my t-shirt upcycles so we can share it in a reel on Instagram or something very soon. But right now, I'm going to show you the basics and then you adapt as needed. Let's go overhead. Here we go. So first of all, can we zoom out at all, Ramel? Because I need to show the full t-shirt if possible. So right away, when it comes to t-shirts, I can't stand this neckband. And I usually don't like how things feel in the armpit. And because I'm using this fabric for my sleeves like this, you can use rayon, you can do anything you want really. I've even cut up other clothing and mismatched my sleeves. I have to make sure that the sleeve is as long as the t-shirt. So I'm gonna take my measuring tape, and this is, it's about 22.5 inches, not quite 20, well, maybe it is 23. It is 23. So we're gonna need to double that. So 23 times 2, 46 inches for the length of the sleeve. And then typically you wanna start with 12 to 14 wide. Now mine are super wide because I wanted them super dramatic. But let's prep our t-shirt first. So right away, I'm gonna simply cut this side seam away. And then I wanna flatten this out and cut on that seam. Cut that away. You're not taking a ton of width off unless you need to. If you bought a man's, triple X, then maybe you want to cut in a little bit. All right, so that I can save. And then this neckline has got to go. Sorry, not sorry, it's just who I am. You can always leave it on. The trick when cutting a neckline so it doesn't look crazy is to cut it right on that seam line, and then it'll start to curl like it's, you know how there's some clothing out there ready to wear that is cut on purpose. Hello, Abercrombie or Hollister. They did this all the time. So you want to cut on that seam so that it still looks finished. Almost there. Now I know the young kids these days like a cropped shirt. So if you want to do that, you can also crop it at this time. You could just cut across a little bit. I'm not going to, I don't wear crops. All right, so the t-shirt is prepared. All right, now I'm gonna bring in my fabulous blingy fabric and I'll cut both of my sleeves. So I'm just gonna fold it and cut away the selvage right away because I could see that's not what I want. All right, now pretend this is our shoulder area up here. This is on the fold. I want to start with the full length here, so I'm going to measure down. Let's do 14 inches. Right about here. Because that'll give me some room if I need to hem anything. All right, there's one sleeve. Now I am going to even this up right now. Okay, now you can see this side is not clean, so I've got to clean that up. And this is very freestyle. You know what, I'll just fold it down some more so you can get everything in the view here. I'm going to turn it so it's easier to cut. And I'm just making this side of the sleeve straight. Do whatever you need to do there to make it straight. So again, the fold is the shoulder. And this is the full sleeve, although looks like I missed a piece here. There we go. Now we're going to fold this right sides together. You know what? Before we move forward, give it a good measure so that your second sleeve is exactly the same length and width. All right, so my sleeve is 30 inches this way folded, and more importantly is this measurement. It has to be the same. So mine ended up being 13 and a half after the trimming, although let's do this again. You're gonna have to take all that garbage out. It looks like down here is 13. Okay, so we'll just have you trim all this out so that when I talk, it's correct. All right, my sleeve, here's the fold. 30 inches this way folded, so 60 total, and 13 inches this way. So if you can envision on the t-shirt, this will be one side. I will definitely need to make it shorter. I can do that now or I can do it later. Let's just do it now so it's easier to work with. I'm gonna do the length of the shirt, which is 23 plus a little seam allowance, so 23 and a half. That way it's just easier to work with. All right, let's cut our next sleeve before we sew any further. My fabric is a little bit stretchy, but that's okay. I'm just gonna do the best I can and try not to pull it anywhere. All right, that's right at 13 and it looks good. It's a straight edge, so I can cut it. There's that. And now I'll trim it down so it's easier to work with again. 23.5. All right, let's put these right sides together, meeting those short edges. You might have to lift it up depending on the fabric you're using. From the fold, measure down about 9 inches and make a mark. This will be the opening for your arm. You can make it bigger or smaller. If it's too big, your shirt ends up looking like a poncho, which I'm not a super fan of. It's not comfortable for me. So I just draw a line and then throw a couple of pins in. And I know that I want to sew from this portion down to the edge. So I could even move my pins so I won't have to pull it out while I'm sewing. There we go. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my other sleeve, folding it right sides together, lining up those short edges. And here we are again. I can just use that as my template. All right, I've got my serger fired up. If you don't have a serger, don't worry. You can cut out your sleeves using pinking shears and or you could do French seams if you wanted. You could bind it. It's really up to you. But I'm going to use the serger today to be nice and fast. All right, let's go back overhead. So I've got it marked for my arm opening on one side. Now I need to mark it on the other side because what we're going to do, oops, shouldn't talk when I'm trying to match these lines. What I'm going to do is open this up and we're going to sew one side of this fabric to the t-shirt. So marked front and back. And now let's sew it to one side of the t-shirt. So make sure that this edge is good enough. See how this arm side is a curve? If you want to make this really easy, and if you have the room, just cut it straight. That's often what I do. Now this fabric will absolutely curve just fine, but I just want to make you aware, if you want to, you can cut off this excess down here so that it's just a perfectly straight line. Okay, it doesn't really matter on the size t-shirt that you purchased. If you need to cut it down, you can. And if it's too small, don't worry. This adds room and makes it like a one size fits all. Okay, so I'm gonna flatten this up. All right, at that fold mark, which is the center, you can make a little notch, or you can do a chalk mark, you know, whatever helps, whatever allows you to see the middle. And then we're going to place that middle right sides together, this fabric with the t-shirt on that shoulder seam and pin that in place. Because you don't want the back shorter or longer than the front. And we will continue to pin down this entire section and serge it to the t-shirt. If you don't have a serger, just use a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine and get her done. It doesn't have to be a serger. I just like being really fast, and the serger allows me to do that. Now I'm going to pin down this side.
You have done this.
I have, yeah. Yep, for years and years I couldn't use the serger because it just didn't work for me very well. I have lots of clothing that I did pinked edges on and then zigzag stitch. You just do what you got to do to keep going. Don't let anything stop you. Now I'm a little long on this side, no worries, we're gonna hem it. We can trim that later. Not a big deal. And you don't have to put this many pins in if you don't need it. It's just that sometimes these slinkier fabrics shift on me and I don't wanna have to unpick serged seams. Like that's a big giant pain. All right, let's go to the machine and we're gonna sew all the way down the length of this. Make sure to pull the pins out or back. You do not want to hit pins with these needles or the blade. I'm going to take these pins out before I lay it flat on the surface here. So this is what it looks like when you're all sewn. I've already sewn on this other side so we can just keep going. And let's put this right sides together. So you're going to fold it. You're going to take the shoulder seams and kind of shake it out a bit. The trick here is you want it even on both sides. And see our lines that we drew earlier? So we close up our sleeves so we're not wearing a poncho from this line down. So at this point, you need to decide if you want to treat this raw edge. And I suggest doing it right now so that we don't have to fiddle with it after we have the sleeve closed. So what I'm going to do is this raw edge, even though it's knit and it won't fray, I'm just going to serge all the way down. It'll give it a more finished look. Now I'm going to do the other side. All right, so now let's look at these edges. This one it grew on me. So I either can trim it or I can serge it. And I'm just gonna trim it this time because you've already seen me serging. Just even it up. And then I'll do the same, oh gosh, that edge there. Ramel, we gotta tape that edge down. It keeps grabbing my fabric. I'm gonna trim this one up. Yes, this is very just fly by the seat of your pants style sewing. This is my favorite. I love it. All right, now I am going to, ooh, my mat got all. We're gonna fold this right sides together. We're gonna pinch the shoulder seam. Lay it down. Make sure your stuff over here is lined up and flat. Same with here. You might need to get the dining room table cleared off and sew this baby on there because you need some space. We want to make sure that this seam down here is matching this seam. This one is matching this seam. Everything's good. The shoulders are up here. We're even all the way across. Now from our lines that we did, can you zoom in? Are you able to see that chalk line here? See that faint chalk line, y'all? Okay, we're sewing from here downward. We have to leave this portion open. That's where our arms stick out of the shirt. All right, so let me put in a couple of pins. I'm gonna move them back so I don't have to worry about them while I'm sewing. Lining up those serged edges. And we're almost done. This pin is messed up. Now let's go to the other side. These lines are matched. This is good. This is good. And we're sewing from this line to the bottom of the shirt. Again, you have to leave this open for your arms. All right, let's take it to the machine and we'll finish this baby up. I'm starting from the bottom of the shirt and going up. Now I'm approaching this line up here, so you'll see me start to veer off. All right, I leave this tail so I can make a knot. You could also just go over that seam again with your sewing machine. All right, now I'm gonna do the other one. Same way. My pins are back far enough that I don't have to worry about it. I'm approaching the line. There's a faint line here. All right, good. Now let's take it over. Let me tie my knots. I've never had serger thread come undone on me, but even when I haven't knotted it, but I don't want to test that. I want this to always work. So it's a good practice to just tie your serger threads, and you don't have to do the whole hunk. You could separate out a couple, but whatever. That one I didn't. All right, take out all the pins. Trim all your threads. You might want to dot a little fray check. Where did my fray check go? Fray check is a glue in a sense, so it will help to hold your serged ends together in case you are worried about it. And it's washable. Like, I've washed my shirts like this many, many times. All right, let's turn it right sides out. And there's the shirt. It's now all blinged up. How fun is that? Let me put it on for you real quick. Yep, I love it. I love it. Now, you can treat this neckline however you want. I like that kind of raw edged curled look. But isn't that such a fun and easy upcycle? It's so easy, and all your friends will be like, can you do that for me? So there you are. I hope it was fun. I hope it, at least at a minimum, is sort of inspirational for you. Get your brain fired up thinking of different ways you can upcycle. All right, you take care. Peace, love, sewing. Yay, NASA.